Sound the alarm! Another emergency pod. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman. What show is this, Zach? Number 13 for the week?
13 for the week, I believe. Lucky
This
13.
is very exciting. Kenny Pickett, the Eagles making a move. And Zach, I got to tell you, I'm excited about this one because so many of the moves this week are they're overpaying Saquon Barkley for the first time. Howie's never really done this before. Is this because Kellen Moore needs to have a pass catching receiving back? Is it how do we parse that? Oh, does Vic Fangio want Devin White and CJ Gardner-Johnson? Does Howie want them? Who's doing what here? Does this exactly jibe with what we know of Howie Roseman? This trade is pure, unadulterated, like high quality Howie Roseman stuff that Eagles fans can just snort up all they want. This is Howie to a T, sending a third round pick and the highest of two seventh round picks in 2025 to the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for Kenny Pickett and a mid fourth round pick. You look at the trade chart value, that's about the value of between a fourth and fifth round pick, basically discounting the seventh round picks in order to get a former first-round pick who has a team-friendly contract as a backup quarterback over the next two seasons, who has taken snaps from Michael Dunn in the past, and who loves himself a chicken vodka wrap. I would say of all the winners and losers of this trade, Tanner McKee may be the biggest loser. Yeah. The biggest winner by a mile, Zach Berman, who has done the work on Kenny Pickett.
Well, we'll see what happens with Eagles this year, or over the next 2 years. I should say, if Jalen stays healthy, if how Kenny Pickett does there. You're right. This is a very Howie-ish move, and to go down now, I think they'll try to tell you it's a third round comp pick, right? It's the end of the third round, but it's a third round pick, okay? And they go down 22 spots from the third round to the middle of the fourth. From the end of the third to the middle of the fourth, and they give 2 seventh round picks next year, like you said, and so the seventh round picks. I'm not saying they're nothing really. The material move here is going from the late third to the middle of the fourth, and I had been saying that, however we want to say, stacking the deck for against, but I had been saying that they should give Tanner McKee an opportunity to be the QB2, and I said that because the price of a backup quarterback, like what you pay Marcus Mariota, what you would have paid Joe Flacco, what you would pay Jacoby Brissett, right? I said it didn't make sense to bring in someone at that price, given Jalen Hurts is in the second year of his deal, the second contract. It's a little different from my perspective, and I imagine from their perspective, when you trade for someone on a rookie deal, similar to what they did with Gardner Minshew, although the salary was even less with Gardner Minshew, and it was a different situation with Jalen Hurts still on a rookie deal. But you're getting 2 years of Kenny Pickett at $2 million this year, and about a 2 and change next year. Which, again, the key here is also your evaluation of Kenny Pickett. If you think he's any good, if you think Kenny Pickett is like a solid backup quarterback in this league, I'm fine going from late third to middle of the fourth. Getting a 26-year-old, low price, some optionality if he plays decently in the preseason. If he has to do a spot start next year, maybe you can trade him to a team next year who wants him to compete. More realistically, you're getting an inexpensive backup quarterback here. So I like the deal based on that. I have no grand illusions of like Kenny Pickett being anything more than maybe at best a high-level backup, low-level starter. And I'm totally fine with that. So when the deal came out, I said, this makes sense. I don't mind the draft pick spread. And yeah, it is very Howie-ish, but it's worth doing. And then we'll get to it. I don't want to make this a monologue. We'll get to it, but there's also reports coming out of Pittsburgh now, Jerry Dulac basically saying that he wasn't happy in Pittsburgh, right? And so you have to factor in that component of it. But from a football perspective, from a cap perspective, from a draft pick comp perspective, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, we will get to the reports of Kenny Pickett being a big time diva in a little bit, but I love the negotiation of the trade here because like coming to agreement on what the proper value is. The Steelers have also 119. They have the pick right before 120 in the 4th round. And
Yeah.
so like, oh, well, we're not going to give you, can't give you 119. We give you 120. Meanwhile, you're insisting on getting the highest of the 2 7th round picks in 2025. Like they really must have had the Eagles over a barrel.
Yeah, they're afraid that the Eagles are gonna, get like, they're gonna trade for back of the 7th round picks next year, and they're gonna load up like 4 7th round picks, and
Right.
so they're insisting that they get the 2 highest 7th round picks.
Very funny. Yeah, I think setting aside the evaluation of the player for a minute, the acquisition of a cost-controlled, solid backup quarterback is worth that value, no doubt about it. It's a real pick. Like that's as you said, that's a 3rd round pick, and they have needs. Now you wonder if they think they have a Hassan Reddick trade lined up,
Exactly. Yep.
then that changes the calculation. You're more willing to move off of that pick. I do think, from the telling us what you actually think perspective, obviously this means that they do not think Tanner McKee is ready to take on the mantle of being a number 2 quarterback, as good as he looked in the preseason. For whatever reason, they're not ready to commit to him there. And yes, listen to Jalen Hurts and hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. So that's something that we've learned. As you said, they did work on Kenny Pickett in that draft. How he was at that game. We had the infamous showdown or meetup at the Senior Bowl when I walked over to Kenny Pickett, and he never seen me before, and he was being shepherded out by his handlers, and I said, Kenny, 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 Kenny. It got his attention, and he looked at me, and I go, Michael Dunn says hello. That's all I had.
It's true. Michael Dunn did say hello.
He did.
Yes.
So obviously I look forward to talking to him about that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the value and what the Eagles think about this position, I would imagine they think it's nice that they have this position in theory locked up for 2 years. And if things go poorly for somebody else, but Kenny Pickett gets a chance to play and impresses, they feel good about their ability to rebuild the value of this asset and probably be able to flip it for something else if that opportunity comes along.
Yeah, let me ask you, what do you think of the player?
I would say this. I mean, the player so far has not been great as a starting quarterback with 2 years of experience. You look at just the boilerplate numbers, EPA per dropback. He is, let's see, 31st of 37 qualifying quarterbacks, 32nd rather. The thing is that the thing you always hear, doesn't throw touchdown passes, right? It doesn't make a ton of mistakes, but doesn't really bring much to the table. Doesn't throw the ball super far downfield. But I would say that I am more willing to believe that he was a victim of circumstance to some degree by being in a poorly coordinated offense than Devin White was, right? Like, Devin White got to play for Todd Bowles.
Right.
It's hard to believe you're going to unlock something different. Whereas you can convince me that Kenny Pickett in a different surrounding can be much better than he was. I think that's totally reasonable. And I don't like totally dislike the player as you're thinking of him as a backup quarterback. Yeah, I think he could be one of the 10 best backup quarterbacks in the league. Realistically, I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah, and if that's the case, this is a terrific trade, right? If I think even if he's like a solid backup, now we've discussed in the past that wins and losses, it's not a quarterback stat per se. I think the Kenny Pickett defenders would tell you that in 24 starts, he's 14-10. Now he did lose his job last year. He has as many touchdowns as he has interceptions. He can move a bit, right? And he had a lot of success. He had a lot of success at Pitt. He was an older prospect coming out. Again, I never thought when the Steelers had him that like the upside was there for him to be a franchise quarterback, but I think he makes a lot of sense as a backup quarterback. And again, like what you want in that role, it's like a pipe dream to think like Nick Foles, someone who steps in and wins the Super Bowl for you. What you want is someone who, if Jalen Hurts is out for 3 games, he can come in and go 2-1. and he doesn't lose you the games, right? That you can function as an offense. He can get the ball. He has better weapons. He has better coaching, presumably. I mean, we'll see with Kellen Moore, though it's hard to be worse than what Matt Canada was last year with the Steelers. So there's in theory
to
upside.
Matt Siberia.
Yeah. So like I think as from a backup quarterback perspective. Now the one thing I will say is I did like Tanner McKee last year, and you spotted that. You spotted that right away, and so I thought that if you're going to bring in someone to compete with McKee, make it like a really cheap veteran on the minimum who McKee can beat out. Now, in theory, McKee can beat out Kenny Pickett, right? But if you're giving up what is the value of what, like a 5th round pick in trading back from the 3rd to the 4th, then from that perspective, you're expecting Kenny Pickett to be QB2. And look, he was a 1st round pick who started, like I said, 24 games in the league. So if you want starting experience at QB2, you get it, and you get in the package of a 26-year-old who's cheap, who could theory have option to flip in a year.
And if I can make the obvious joke, I would say the biggest concern about Kenny Pickett as a backup quarterback is, will his hands be big enough to hold the clipboard?
Yeah, the hands thing gets a lot of attention, right? Like he's played a lot of football in this league. He's played in cold weather. He played at Pitt. He played at Ocean Township High School. He's played in some weather in his life, right? So,
but that doesn't mean, has he played well in that weather? So what, he played?
Look at that rainy night against North Carolina. Okay. Who do you like? Wait, by the way, not just because that game was Pitt versus Carolina, but because these two guys have been traded this offseason. Who do you like more, Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell?
I mean, I would rather have Sam Howell as a backup because he's cheaper. Okay. He got 2 years. That's why he got a little bit more, I think. Mm-hmm. But it's a flip of a coin for me. I don't have a super. I mean, the level of play I saw from Sam Howell in that one game was very impressive.
Who do you like more, Kenny Pickett or Mac Jones?
Kenny Pickett.
Who do you like more, Kenny Pickett or Zach Wilson?
Kenny Pickett. I mean, I like Zach Berman more than Zach Wilson.
I mean, I guess we can do the same exercise for Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is. I mean, we'll see what happens with Justin Fields. But who do you like more, Kenny Pickett or Justin Fields?
Justin Fields.
Me too. Okay. Yeah. So look, Pickett gives you. I think if Pickett can be Minshew, right, which is I think like a decent comparison. I think you would take that, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now tell us about the reporting out of Pittsburgh, and it's, you got to take it all with a a truck of salt, because a month ago the same people were saying, well, the Steelers are very, very committed to giving Kenny Pickett a 3rd season, like and over the years, like what a leader this guy is, this young leader of men. And now all of a sudden it's they signed Russell Wilson, and he didn't take that well, and he wouldn't dress to be the backup the emergency 3rd quarterback at end of the season. Fill us in here.
Yeah, so Jerry Dulac, a veteran reporter from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, this is what he said. The Steelers made this move because of the way Pickett was poorly handling the arrival of Russell Wilson, according to sources. That came on the heels of Pickett's behavior last season when he refused to dress as the emergency 3rd quarterback in Seattle in Week 17. So a little background here. Kenny Pickett stepped in for Mitch Trubisky 2 years ago.
Mr. Biscuit.
The Steelers won 7-5 in those games. The Steelers kind of rebounded to finish with a 500 record or a winning record that year, whatever it was. They had momentum late in the year.
He's never played in a 16-game season.
Yeah. So true. Okay, fair enough. So a winning record. And thank you. You're right. So they had a winning record, and Kenny Pickett had some momentum going into this off season. He was like the Steelers guy. Kenny Pickett, they win some games with him, right? They were 7-5, like I said, wasn't playing particularly well, and he gets hurt and Mason Rudolph steps in and plays. Now he was juggled in and out of the lineup, if I'm correct, Pickett. But then Mason Rudolph steps in. They start winning some. They play decently with Mason Rudolph. Pickett doesn't get that job back. Okay, and Mason Rudolph leaves this offseason, and the Steelers bring in Russell Wilson. And so Pickett, I haven't spoken to Kenny Pickett. I don't know his side of the story. I look forward to having the chance to speak to him. We'll see what he says, but presumably, he was hoping for more of a chance to start in Pittsburgh. It's very clear coming here to Philly, he's not coming here with any chance to start. I think he's coming here competing to be the number 2. Like, I expect him to be the number 2, but there's more of a competition there than there is obviously at QB1. But he has to know that coming in, and he has the chance to kind of reset his value. I didn't think he was going to start in Pittsburgh this year anyway. So
are you put off by those reports? Your boy Jordan Fuller is going to the Panthers.
Okay. All right. Good job, Dan Morgan. Delco proud. He also signed Kalavion Chasen today, loading up on some of the guys I liked. Liked him coming out of LSU. No sell there. Kenny Pickett. Am I put on? Look, it's not the type of report that you would want to see, but I would also say you have to consider the circumstances, right? He probably felt that was his team.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are 2 sides to this one.
Sure. So
let's say they told him in his exit meeting, you're gonna have a chance to compete, or you're gonna be the guy, and then they go out and get someone who that's not gonna be the case with. You could feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah, I mean, something strikes me that like Russell Wilson's not the kind of guy who comes in and expects to be your your backup and compete with you. Russell Wilson comes in and wants to
I feel like they're refusing to dress as the emergency quarterback is more of a red flag than the other one.
True. I don't even know why. I would rather be in uniform at that point, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe it was really cold and he wanted to be bundled up. He's like, why am I in uniform? I'm not even going to play. So,
all right, let's give before we close out on Kenny Pickett, tell us a little bit about your sojourn, your pilgrimage to the land of Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, so look, I like local stories. I was at when Bo and I were at the Athletic, I was always trying to find some, during the offseason in particular, some stories that kind of went beyond the Eagles beat. Maybe hoping to get some shine with the higher ups or different audiences, right?
This guy is not just Eagles. He could write about anything.
Exactly. That's kind of, you're trying to like flex a little ambition. And so I'm like,
how'd that go?
Ouch. All right, guilty as charged, right? Facts are facts. Yeah. So, anyways,
that's not anything against you. That's just I'm saying, was it noticed?
So I took the 3-hour drive. I took not the 3-hour drive. It's really a 2-hour drive to Ocean Township, the Lyndhurst, New Jersey. Went to his high school. Had a great time meeting with his high school coach. And me, like I want to find the flavor of the town quite literally. And so I always say, where does he like to eat? Mm-hmm. Where does he like to eat? I'm told go to
Where does
Gianni's.
he sit when he's here?
Yeah.
Who was his
Gianni's.
waitress?
Go to Gianni's. And so I go to Gianni's. And what does he get? I talk to them. Oh, Kenny was here with his offensive lineman a few weeks ago, and this is where he used to come and get the whole thing. And so I have the chicken vodka wrap, which is what he ate. And let me tell you, that was a legit chicken vodka wrap. That thing was as good as it sounds. I love a vodka sauce, and the way, with the chicken and the wrap, it was all good combination. It was all good combination.
You should be a food writer. I mean, to describe the chicken vodka wrap with, well, you got the vodka sauce and the chicken and the wrap.
So
you don't say.
Yeah. So all right. So then this is kind of funny. So
what a way with words.
I asked where does he, where would he hang out and that kind of thing. And I was told, the casino on the beach. And I'm like, ooh, now we're speaking my language here. So I go, the casino on the beach. It's not an actual casino. It's like a beach club that's called like the the Deal Casino. I don't know if we have Ocean Township or Lyndhurst guys on who are watching live, but it's not an actual casino. It's just like a beach club that's called a casino. So it's like you hang
you're
out at the
furious.
beach. Well, I'm not furious, but like it was a bit of a letdown. Like I thought, all right, I have the chicken vodka wrap, and now I'm going to the casino, and I get to see what the casino is looking on.
What a day for me.
Yeah. But there was, by the way,
you're so angry at Devontae Parker.
What's that?
I don't know. All these years later, you're still in just a little bit of a bad mood because you didn't get to play blackjack on the beach.
No, and there was a really good ice cream spot too that I stopped at.
Now we're talking.
Back. Yeah, but everyone in Lyndhurst was so nice. The Ocean Township people were nice. I had and I spoke, by the way. I remember that story. I spoke to people from Oakhurst or Lyndhurst from that area. But he won the Phil Filipino Football Award when he was there, which is a prestigious honor for anyone who plays football at Ocean Township High School. And so Phil Filipino. I spoke to Ryan Moran, who was a high school teammate of Pickett's, now goes to or was at Monmouth University and won the Filipino Award before Pickett did. Don Klein is his coach there. They're all very nice. So, anyways, it was a nice trip up there, and I imagine when I go up to Kenny in the locker room or before that, and I mention a chicken vodka wrap from Gianni's, I hope he reacts the same way Fletcher Cox does when I mention the seafood at PHLY in Yazoo City. Maybe not the way Fletcher or Carson Wentz responded when I brought up some of the places that I ate there. Malcolm Jenkins, I've eaten
Do I need a restraining order?
Nick Sirianni, by the way, I mean, I ate some great places in Nick Sirianni's hometown that I still talk to him about. So
flex.
So
now,
anyways,
Claire does ask the important question: would you call Ocean Township a good food center?
I deserve that one, Claire. I had good food when I was there. It's not really a city, and it's not really a city.
Wow, burying Ocean Township.
But no, I would say you can get a good slice and a good chicken vodka wrap at Gianni's. Highly recommend it. Nice people there.
And ice cream.
Not
at Gianni's.
I forget the name of the ice cream shop. It's right by Gianni's. But that's one of those situations where Emily's not watching right now. I'm out for a few hours at night. I'm doing some work. I can reward myself with with a nice ice cream, right? So that's not getting that at home. So I might as well enjoy the ice cream when I'm there.
Wow. Just be forewarned if you're going to make the trip. That's not a casino.
That is not a casino. The Deal Casino is not a casino.
Okay. And he was an Eagles fan.
Yeah, big Eagles fan growing up. Used to go to the games. I think his family were season ticket holders.
There you go.
Yeah.
John Tolentino, intrepid reporter, wants to know what kind of ice cream flavor you got.
Great question, Josh. I forget.
What's the top 3 ZB ice cream flavors?
Well, I mean, I always like, I like to see what like the house specialty is when I go somewhere, right? So
obviously,
if there's a place that makes a certain type of ice cream, but no, if I had, look, you can't go wrong with cookies and cream. Okay, I like. I'm not a candy guy, but like a toffee. I like an English toffee in there. And then I would say, you find somewhere the Cookie Monster ice cream, which is it's like a blue ice cream that has like chocolate chip cookies and Oreo cookies and all these different things. Yeah.
Wow.
So who's saying violation? What's
not
the
too
violation?
Different from a cookies and cream,
not
really.
Cookies and cream. Yeah. Look, I like anything that has cookies in it. So you combine that. Yeah, that's people say vanilla and chocolate swirl. Vanilla and chocolate swirl is not ice cream. That's like a soft serve. You're not getting a vanilla chocolate swirl for ice cream, right? Toffee's a violation. How's toffee a violation?
Now this time Zach's actually going to get offended.
Yeah, like a Heath bar, like a Heath bar crunch ice cream. That's legit.
So you're going for. I mean, you want all 3 of your choices there. You want some kind of crunch, some kind of cookie in there.
Well, yeah, if I'm going to an ice cream shop, I want like something that's
You're
I mean,
making me very hungry for ice cream.
I can get plain vanilla. I can just go to the grocery store and get like a good vanilla and eat it like that. If I'm eating out at an ice cream shop, I don't want that. And actually, my son, my best friend, Reed. But whenever I take him for ice cream, he just
Oh,
wants
shots at
vanilla.
Emily.
And I'm like, Reed, we're at an ice cream shop. I can get you vanilla at the grocery store. Let's get something like, let's. And he says, all right, I'll have sprinkles on it. It's not quite the same, but okay.
I mean,
So
you gotta get those sprinkles for sure.
he's a vanilla ice cream with rainbow sprinkles.
I do. I mean, I like an ice cream truck soft serve like anybody.
Ah, yeah. Well, you know what I like when I used to go to the games growing up? I would get the chocolate dipped, which you can get at Dairy Queen.
I never loved the dipped. Not against it, but I prefer the sprinkles.
No, I like the dip, the hard shell. It's something about the consistency of the soft ice cream and the hard shell. It's the way to go.
I did remember being fascinated as a kid once or twice getting like the magic shell.
Oh yeah, home. You see it. Yeah,
you pour it on and then it gets hard. Oh, what a science experiment.
Yeah. I do like the ice cream talk, but while I have your attention, can I just ask you about the Josh Sweat news that came out? The Eagles restructured.
Yeah. Do you think I wasn't going to get to that?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were kind of having fun with the ice cream, and then we were going to wrap it up. I just wanted to get that in.
What do you make of the Josh Sweat news, Zach? And what is the news for anybody who hasn't seen it?
Yeah, so the Eagles restructuring Josh Sweat's contract, basically guaranteeing this year, so keeping him here in 2024. If we thought that Sweat was going to, I didn't think Sweat was going to be released. Maybe that was kind of put out there as like, there's a chance you can get cut, and there's no, you don't have the guaranteed money on your deal. So let's, if you agree to a restructured deal, you get that money guaranteed. I thought there was a better chance of him being traded, but this essentially keeps Sweat in Philadelphia. And I imagine what this does is it means you're going to trade Hassan Reddick. Like I said the other day, I don't see a scenario where Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, and Bryce Huff we're all going to be here, but I also didn't expect them to move on from both Reddick and Sweat. So I think what I would imagine Howie has some sense of what he's going to do with Reddick. If not, he'll have to play this out. But for Eagles purposes, you can expect Sweat, Huff, Graham, Smith to be your and Bond to be your edge rushers at this point, and we'll see what they do in the draft.
So you think this means it's done that Hassan Reddick is gonna be traded?
I'm assuming so. Now it might not be tomorrow, but yeah. I mean, do you disagree? Do you think there's a chance Sweat, or do you think there's a chance Reddick comes back with Sweat and Huff?
I mean, I would still expect that he's going to be moved, but I think there's a better chance now than I did 3 days ago. If they can't find the market, they've got him all under the cap now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like they need to move him to get under. It's also something you can wait for.
Sure.
This could be eve of the season or first couple of weeks. That's a position that is translatable. Doesn't need to be in the scheme necessarily. Like just go get the quarterback. So that's possible. I mean, it's probably too many snaps to go around if you were to keep them all, unless you really think Nolan Smith doesn't have it and you're not ready to trust him. But yeah, I mean, I would guess I would put more turkeys on him being moved than not.
Yeah, that's my expectation right now.
What do you make of like Sweat having to take a pay cut?
Yeah, that's so I've seen it interpreted that way.
The way that it is.
Yeah, let me see what
I'm sorry. How else would you interpret it?
Is that our so what was he making before then this year?
What was he slated to make? Let me see.
I mean, what do I make of it? I make like.
I mean, he's taking a pay cut.
Yeah. So if I had to interpret that, I would say that he had a chance to see what the market is. He wasn't going to get the money that he wanted. He's coming off. It was a slow end to the year.
Yeah, 16 people are saying.
Yeah. So he probably wasn't getting the long-term money that he wanted. This ensures him that he's on the team this year, that he's not going to get cut. So he gets that salary. and he'll be able to hit free agency next year. So was due 16, new contract is up to 13. Okay. Yeah, I mean
with the
that
10 base. Yeah.
yeah, that surprises me some. I mean, clearly I valued Josh Sweat more than the league did, and because I can't imagine. Look, it's if it's like Keenan Allen wasn't going to take a pay cut, right? Um, Arik Armstead wasn't going to take a pay cut. Arik Armstead was like, I'll go get paid on the open market, cut me, and I'll go get paid, right? Clearly, Josh Sweat felt it was important that that he's here under contract.
Right. He would not have gotten that.
Yeah.
I am surprised that if
Me
he were
too.
cut, he doesn't think he would have gotten 13 or 14. But
Yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah, I think if we're playing the keep and score game, I think this means we'll see what Hassan Reddick ends up getting traded for, but I think I can take a win on he had more trade value than Josh Sweat.
I mean, yeah, we won't find out, but you're probably right because the Eagles made the decision to go with Sweat. So look here, I see in the over the cap. I don't know if they've adjusted this yet, but he was due a base salary of 1-1 prorated signing bonus. He had the roster bonus, so he gets more guaranteed money. Again, I would need to look at this to figure it out specifically.
Okay. Last thing.
So his cash due, his cash due in 2024 was 16 million. Okay. Again, I don't know what the cash. I mean, we know what the restructured deal is. It's all. I was saying I need to learn more. We were actually at the facility today when C.J. Gardner-Johnson and others were introduced when this came out. So I'm going to find out more.
And then last thing, what did you learn from the people we heard from today at the Novacare Complex?
Yeah, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is as confident as ever. He said, but he said, look, he had to kind of get out of his feelings, put his feelings aside. And that was a big part of coming to Philly. He said that the comments that he made, he kind of joked. He thought that was a compliment, saying that Eagles fans were obnoxious, or the Philly fans were obnoxious because he's obnoxious. He was saying that he still views himself as one of the top young safeties in the game. So he didn't want to say what his role is, but you kind of intimate from that he's expecting to be the top safety on this team and not necessarily kind of like this hybrid player who's kind of pushed aside from like a Justin Simmons type.
Yeah, I thought that was the most notable thing.
Yeah,
for sure. It's a good question about you. Talked about how much he's been trying to get to know himself over the past. I mean, I like hearing from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He has a magnetism about him, no doubt.
Yeah, he's keeping the lights on in the building, right? And then he's going to wear number 8 this year. Good question from you. He's tapping into his Mamba mentality. He chose Kobe over Jordan because he wore 23 before.
There you go.
Yeah, man, Kenny Pickett must be like, if you made this trade 2 days earlier, I could have gotten number 8, right?
Maybe. That's only because he's a diva. He thinks he can get whatever he wants.
So from Matt Hennessy, I interpreted that he's here to be a versatile lineman. It's not necessarily he has more experience at center, which we already knew, but thinks he can play guard. Has background with Jeff Stoutland. Happened to be in Philly, and then
by the way, when Matt Hennessy walked up today, when he was walking up that aisle, I mean, the exact same beard and haircut as Sua Opeta. He looked just like from a distance. And we have the news now that Sua Opeta has signed with the Tampa Bay Bucks, a championship caliber organization recognizing a championship caliber player when they see one.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my son knocking on the door. Haven't seen him yet. And then
to Jimmy, he looked just like him.
And then from Jake Elliott, he wants to finish his career here in Philly. He appreciates the confidence that the Eagles showed, that he's really kind of found a good routine here during the past 2 years. Gave a lot of credit to the coaching staff, in particular Brown. So I would say that was my big take. I would say Tyler Brown was, is kind of like the kicking specialist and has really kind of helped Jake Elliott there. So those are a few things that jumped out from Jake.
Okay. All right. What a day. What a week. Kenny Pickett. Classic Howie. We love it. Very exciting. What's your over the next 2 seasons, how many games does Kenny Pickett start for the Eagles?
3.
Good line. It's about what I would put it at too. Well, maybe Tanner McKee will now march up to Howie's office and demand a trade as well and say this. I was told I was going to have a chance to compete for number 2. This is BS.
I was Bo's camp crush. So 5 years from now at the Super Bowl,
and then Pickett muscles in. Yeah, but Zach wrote about my favorite meal.
5 years from now at the Super Bowl, you will interview Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee about being the camp crush.
That's right. There you go.
Yes.
Because he will be at the Super Bowl leading a team, ready to go.
Maybe so.
All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Thanks to everybody for tuning in all week. Thanks to Howie for doing stuff for us to talk about. Thanks to Julia for fighting through it like the Michael Jordan flu game. And, I would say we'll talk to you at Monday at noon, but odds are we may talk to you sooner. So we'll see what happens. For all of us here at PHLY, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit like, all that good stuff. And as always, Michael Dunn says hello.
We all silly like the mayor.